Good morning guys. We haven't posted for a couple of weeks, just been so very busy in the workshop. I've been away also, so just sometimes not enough time to post as often as we want to. Plenty of going on, so I'm going to walk around and just show you what we've been up to. Let's go out into the workshop first. We're out here. So you might have seen the TVR Tuscan bonnet. We got that into polyester spray filler. So that's ready to be mated to the car. You can see the Tuscan in the workshop there, so that's just coming to its final bits of filler work. So when we get the shell in polyester spray filler, the customer's going to bring us the chassis, and then we're going to get the bonnet all mounted to that with the body, so we can just make sure that this all gaps up properly to the rest of the body shell. So that's where we're at with that at the moment. These are our training panels. We had one of our spectral painting courses Saturday just gone. That's some of the colours that the people chose. So, you know, if you're ever interested in doing a bit of this, we have professionals, amateurs, people never even picked up a spray gun before. So, you know, if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link in the description down below. You can check that out on our website, and always get in contact with us if it's something that you was interested in doing. We do a more in-depth course as well over 4 days, and that goes right through our NOVOL for classic car process from start to finish in full detail. You know, so like I said, if you're interested, just get in touch with us. These are some seat backs that we've just painted, Recaro seat backs for Defender. There's a trim that's quite local to us called B Trim, and we paint a lot of bits for them. There's the other one, so just waiting for them to be collected in Fuji white. Right, so this door, as you can see, that's pretty battered, so we've just painted the side of this Evoque. New door on there, blended the colour. So that's all done, looking lovely, ready to go, using our wave system and spectral clear coat. So that's that. Let's go in the workshop, have a look round what we're doing. So like I say, there's the Tuscan. That's sort of coming to its last stages of filler. So sometimes we'll get jobs like this, got so much filler on, we like to get some polyester on them, so we can get them blocked out and sort of see where we're going with them. The doors, we've been working on the doors off of the Bedford, just doing a bit of filler work on that. So they're sort of coming along quite nicely. That's the other door that we've been working on. So you can see a few shapes to them, but nothing too bad. So this little Honda Accord come to us. You know, it's quite an old car, 03, customers had it since brand new, doesn't really like any new cars, so, you know, want to keep this going. So the rear arches had rusted out quite badly, so we've cut all them out. You can see this one, this has got the new arch in it, but rather than actually welding these in, we've actually bonded them, 2-pack epoxy glue. You know, it goes as, it's like a structural repair when using this stuff. These quarter panels, you can see, are really quite flimsy. Any kind of weld round here, and they would have just turned into, you know, distorted, look like a trampoline. So we've avoided that and just bonded them in. Duncan's just going to start doing a little bit of glass fibre and filler work that side. This side has had all that done. We're just waiting to get the bumper offered up, just to make sure that our swage line comes round perfectly with a line on the bumper. So yeah, Duncan's just going to take the paint off the other side to start getting on with that. In our last video we had a lot of people asking us about filler work and stuff, so I'm just going to go through, you know, some basic things and a few tips. I'll show you the Escort that's over there in the oven in a minute, which is probably one of the most complicated cars to do filler work on. When they've got them bubble arches on, you know, there's a lot of shapes going on, and it just take a lot to get them to look really nice. So if we come over here, but we always weigh our filler to our hardener ratio. This works out about 2%, 2 to 3%. So basically, if you was to use 100 grams of filler, you'd use, say, around 2.5 grams of this activator. That is plus or minus 0.5 of a gram. So basically, when the weather's warmer, we'd probably only use a couple of grams. As the weather gets colder, we'd use about 3 grams as a, you know, just to help it go off a little bit in the colder weather. But when it comes to mixing this, you know, the best bit of advice I could give to you would get yourself a set of scales. You can buy relatively cheap ones to do this job. You know, we're just trying to be consistent through the whole job. So, you know, if you can get a cheap set of scales, weigh it out, and then every skim you put in will be the same as the last one. Problem is, you know, we can't be as accurate as the scales. And if you get all different amounts of hardener, filler ratio, as you go through the job, it'll all start blocking down at different rates, and that's something you don't want if you want a really nice flat surface. So we're going to mix a bit of filler up, and I'll show you a couple of tips just how to apply it. Right, so we've got our filler spreader, very nice one, as you can see. This is our body filler. So what we do, and this is another good bit of advice, this is just a nylon chopping board from the kitchen. You know, they're just the right size, really easy to keep clean. So that's what we use to mix our filler on. So we put that on the scale, zero the scale. There you go. So this is just for a bit of a demonstration. So we're just going to mix about 50 grams. So get some on your spreader, wipe it on the scale, 36, and just get that to 50. There, that's not bad, that's close enough. So all we want now is 1 gram of our hardener. Right, zero scale. Always massage this as well, because you get a load of liquid in the end of the tube, so you're best to give this a little bit of a massage before you take the lid off of it. So just 1 gram. Yeah, look, we've just gone over 1.2, but that is absolutely fine. So when you come to mix this, the best way you can do it is just keep folding it over itself like this. Drag it out across the board like that. Scoop it, you know, try, you know, when you buy a filler, it hasn't got pinholes in it. Pinholes get created by the way it's stirred and the way it's applied to the panel. So we're just sort of going to go through that, give that a good mix, keep wiping the spreader right off in case you've got any of the hardener on the back of the spreader. Just wipe it out thin like that, and then just gather it up. And all you're doing is trying to stop putting loads of air in it like this. Right, this is one of the quarter panels off of the Honda. I just said that we'd cut the wheel arch off, and this is what we've got left. So I'm just going to do you a bit of a demonstration on here. So we put a little dent in there of a hammer. So normally, you know, a lot of people would just get some filler, go to the dent and go like that, you know, which is okay, but you'll end up with a really thick edge around this edge. It's hard to see. You'll end up with a thick edge around the edge because it hasn't been feathered out. And you've probably got a lot of air in there. So what we tend to do is put it on and then sort of just really wipe it off thin like that. And now you can see we've got some sort of resins going on the panel just to help the adhesion. And then we'll just start building it in thin coats like this. There you go. And you know, you might, with these big repairs, a little repair like this, you might get it in one fill like that. you might rub that out and decide that you need a little bit more on it. We'd always put a guide coat on it so you can seal the low spots. And yeah, the main thing is just, you know, feathering this out round the edge. To be honest, you know, the skill about filler is more about getting it on in the right place and the right thickness and rubbing it down. Both are important, but if you just can't get it on there properly, you know, you're never going to get a good repair out of it. And to be honest, we've been doing it for years and years, and it's just a skill that you acquire over time. Let's go into the oven and show you the Escort. Right, so this, you know, this had a couple of weeks worth of body filler work on this. There's so many shapes going on with these, you know. You've got this curve in here, you've got this body line coming into this curve, so these are always a bit tricky to get right, especially this one here, but they're all feeling quite nice. And as you know, now we'll put 3 coats of polyester spray filler on, the NOVOL for classic car polyester spray filler. So as I've said before, basically that is just like spraying 3 coats of body filler on there, and then we'll block that all down. You know, if we find any funny shapes or anything after that, we can still add some more body filler to that afterwards. Yes, that's just a shaping stage, you know, getting all these lines correct so they follow right through the door. So it just takes a lot of time. You can see the roof's had quite a bit of filler work in it as well, and the boot lid was a few shapes. So what we'll do before we actually go to the next stage of the polyester spray filler, because you know that's very porous, we will put 1 coat of wet and wet epoxy over the top of this, just to you know, cover all these bare metal areas. But it's going to be Venetian red, this car, and it's going to look really straight. You know, we've still got work to do on the rear panel and the front panel. Obviously, while it's on the rollover jig, we can't do that. So we'll get this car in polyester spray filler, and what we do is we do that with the doors on, so we can block it right through the sides, you know, just to get it lovely and flat. Then we've got all that process done, we'll actually take the doors off, clean all the edges and all the backs of the doors, door shuts, any filler that's got in there from this process, and they will just end up with a high build epoxy primer in all the door shuts. You know, we don't need to put polyester in there. So yeah, we'll come in a bit, we'll get some epoxy on this, we'll give the whole car 1 coat of a wet and wet epoxy, let that flash off for a bit, and then we will actually get the polyester spray filler on there. All the gaps look right, you know, that's what you've got to get right at this stage. Right, so we've got 1 coat of wet and wet epoxy on the car. So we're going to now just hit it with 3 coats of polyester spray filler. Okay, so that's the Escort in its polyester spray filler. You know, as I've been saying all along, you can now start to see all the body lines. This just helps for our final shaping, just to get it looking, you know, really crisp, how it's got to look. You know, it's still got to have another high build primer stage yet. This is just spray on body filler, but obviously you can just get nice even coats because you sprayed it on. You know, you can just start to see this swage line here doesn't look quite right, wants a little bit of work, but that's the beauty of this product. Lets you shape all those lines perfectly. So we're going to give it a bake now for about half an hour, then we'll get it out the oven, and then we can start getting it blocked out, and we'll take you through that process as well. This is the Honda Accord that we've just put the rear wheel arches into. So that's just needs a little bit of a flat and a polish, nothing much, but they've gone in really nice, all been wax oiled inside now. Paul's just putting it together. We've actually got to give this whole car machine polish for the customer, and he wants a ceramic coating on it. So yeah, you know, like we said before, it's getting on a little bit, but he just doesn't like new cars. So he's had this since new, so he just wants to keep it going, so that will really brighten it up. So the Escort now, this is in polyester spray filler. I think you've seen us doing all the filler work and body work to this over the last few weeks. So that's looking nice and straight. We started blocking it out, we've got the roof blocked out. So yeah, we've blocked most of the roof, like I say, and started on this side. So that's, you know, just hours of work, more blocking, but it's looking all right. Now we've got this, you know, we took all the rubbers out. As you can see, they're back in there, but masked it all up, put the polyester on, then we put all the rubbers back in, set the doors on the lock, so when we block it out, you know, we just block the whole thing right through. Just keeps everything nice and flat. Right, so we're blocking out this polyester on the side of the Escort at the moment. You know, we always try and use the biggest block we can. So, you know, in the pinkish blocks, we'll try and use this long mummy block as often as we can. You know, when we're up in these areas, you know, you can even use it here as well. To be honest, around this sort of area, I'll be using like this Elizabeth block to block something like this, and we'll use this all around these curves and shapes and everything. You know, it's the same thing. Blocking is something, it's difficult to teach someone how to block. You just got to do it for a lot of time, you know, to understand, be able to feel the shapes of the panel that you're blocking. With this paper, we're using this sear net on a roll, so it's you know, see-through, and then obviously the dust gets extracted through those holes. So we're going to have a block out of this. Duncan's going to put the hoover on for me, and you know, I'll try and, you know, what you've got to be careful, you need to just keep the block moving in all different directions. You know, never just keep blocking something like that, because, you know, you'll just put a big low spot in there. So when you come to something like this body line here, you know, you'd always just work up to it like that. You know, being really gentle, you know, nothing aggressive, and work away from it like that. Always trying to work in diagonals. So when you get to the end here, you know, you might have to just tip the block and tip it on its edge, and just rub it through there like that to get into there. You can see like that. You know, it's just a tool, and you know, you've just got to stop digging corners in and just be really gentle with it, really. Like I say in there, look, you know, really gently just working up to that line like that. and then the other way. Just keep them diagonals going different ways all the time. And then these bigger flat areas, you know, you can just get into them like that in actual swage line down here. We're making a bit of dust because we've got the hoover turned down a bit, just because it's so noisy and you won't be able to hear me when it's turned up. So that's why you'll probably see a bit of dust. But yeah, just let the block, you know, into the contours, them shapes, and you can just start to see, you know, we can still see, like if you look up here, we blocked it out, there was a little sort of low there, left a bit of guide coat in, so we just put a little skimmer filler in there. So we're looking for those things all the way through the job. You know, this guide coat isn't here just to rub it all off. We're actually looking for lows and highs, you know, that is why they call it a guide, just to see the shape of the panel that you're blocking out. And just hours and hours of rubbing. You'll start to see this body line down the bottom here as we block this out. You start to see that coming through here. But you know, we'll refine all these more because this is 120 we're blocking this with. You want to start with something quite abrasive so you cut all the high spots off, and then we'll go to 120, sorry, after 120, 180, finishing 320 before its last primer. Also at this stage, you know, if we find any pinholes or anything like that, we'll address those now and put some body filler in them. So the last primer is not trying to, you know, cover up pinholes or anything like that. We'll deal with that now, like I say, in body filler. And you can just start to see all the lines appear and everything as you're blocking it out. You can see there's just a little high spot, so we'll probably just tap that back, put a tiny little skimmer filler in it just there. So that's the sort of thing we're looking for through this whole process. The little Escort Mark 1 Mexico in here. So this is in our NOVOL for classic car polyester spray filler. So we've blocked this all out, 120, 180 and then 320. Guide coat in between each different grade of blocking, just to make sure we see all those highs and lows and everything. So we've got the bonnet, the boot and the doors. As you can see, like here we had a little low spot, so we just put a tiny little skimmer filler in there just to deal with that. So this panel here is off of, if you remember, we done a McLaren a little while ago. Well, the customer noticed some corrosion all around the edge, so took this skin off, prepped that up, so we'll put that in some primer while we're just doing the Escort. That's why that's in here. So we're all happy, it's looking nice and straight at the moment. The engine bay just had a few little repairs in it, so no need to polyester or anything. So as you can see, there's a few bits here. That's just going to get some of our high build hybrid epoxy primer. So there's the doors, all looking quite nice. As you know, these are brand new doors if you've been watching the videos. I just want to mention, if you are building an Escort and you've got new doors, just be very careful here. This gap when the doors arrive is too wide, so when you put your quarter light glass in with the rubber falls inside here and leaves a big ugly gap on this edge right in there. So we've narrowed that gap by welding the edges of the door skin and the inner frame. Otherwise, you know, it looks really ugly. As I say, you build the car and the rubber just falls inside. So just something to bear in mind if you have got new doors. So what we're going to do now, we're going to get the camera set up. We're going to put 3 coats of our epoxy high build on here. And then, to be honest, the next stage with this car, after we've done that, we'll get all the outside prepped. Then we'll paint the underneath first, then inside the car, inside the boot lid, and then the last bit of paint we'll do the bay, but I'll paint the engine bay when I paint the outside of the car. So, you know, it means we get no ugly edges where we've masked up on any edges or anything. That's what we're looking at. You know, seamless paint with no edges anywhere. So I'm going to set the camera up, come in, and we'll get a few coats of primer on it. In my soul, in my soul, in my soul, I feel so alive. I feel so alive. I feel so alive. In my soul, in my soul, in my soul, in my soul. Okay, so that's the Escort in its final primer. Looking lovely and straight. All the lines nice. More blocking, more flatting. Like I say, we'll get this all prepped up, ready to paint. Then we'll do all the rest of the paint inside, underneath, in the boot, and then engine bay last with the outside of the car. But I'm really happy with how it's looking. Looking really good. Okay, thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you really enjoyed it. Please give us a like and a subscribe. Really helps the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.